from RF Smart. This is Taking Inventory, a podcast all about better controlling your supply chain and improving inventory management. And now, your host, Sarah Archer.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Taking Inventory, the RF Smart podcast. I am your host, Sarah Archer, and on this podcast, we talk about warehouses. And today we're going to still do that, but instead of talking about ERPs and WMSs and other three-letter acronyms that we usually talk about, we're going to talk about how strong company values can actually improve the culture of your warehouse. And so what are values? We're going to get to that in a moment, but first I want to introduce today's guests. We have Aaron and Kyle here in the studio with me in Jacksonville. Between the two of them, they've worked with hundreds of RF Smart customers and RF Smart employees, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about the culture that we have at RF Smart, as well as some takeaways that you can implement in your facility today. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you all sorts of interesting things about them. Aaron, do you want to introduce yourself? Give us a fun fact.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Sarah. My name's Aaron Ellinger. I joined the company 12 years ago. I was living in Cincinnati, Ohio at the time, and I joined the company as a salesperson, believe it or not. After 2 years, I relocated to Jacksonville, Florida in 2010. Took on a different role. I was actually helping to run our professional services group. So I moved from sales into professional services and did that for 5 years. And then I transitioned into my current role. So it's kind of like, I think I've finally figured out a role that I'm good at, I guess I would say. It wasn't apparently sales. It wasn't apparently services. I am the vice president of people. And that is an interesting and fun title that I made up for myself.
I didn't know you made it up for yourself.
Yes, I did actually. We did not have that role. And so our CEO, Michael, said, it sounds interesting what you're saying you want to do. What should we call you? And I said, how about VP of People? And so that was fun. So I'm responsible for talent acquisition, for training and development, for culture and engagement, all of the awesome, fun, people-related strategic HR activities of the company. And I love what I do. I love the company and I love working with people. One interesting thing about myself that some people know, but not everybody knows, is that I am the lead singer and keyboardist in a rock cover band. And so
they're very good. I've seen them.
It's a lot of fun. It's a great hobby. After being a classically trained pianist for the majority of my life, I never dreamed that I would be singing Guns N' Roses or AC/DC in front of crowds at restaurants in Jacksonville. But it's been a fun thing.
That's very cool. And like I said, they're very good. What's the name of your band in case people want to check them out?
Podcast plug.
Yep.
Second Opinion. So you can check us out on Facebook, Second Opinion Jacks.
All right, not sponsored. Second Opinion Jacks. Check them out. Well, Aaron, that's exciting. I did not know about that you used to be in sales. So you've really worked with a lot of different customers. I
have, yeah. Several of our Midwest customers are still with us. It's fun for me to hear from 12 years ago some of the customers that I helped to bring into the RF Smart family.
So speaking of customers, Kyle's here too. Kyle, tell us about yourself. You work with a lot of customers.
Yes, I do. My name's Kyle Guthrie. I've been with the company about 8 years now. Started back as a project manager and was very close to the customers. I was involved in a lot of the projects and a lot of the go-lives and right into the operations of essentially what we do at RF Smart, helping our customers get the product live and get a stable implementation going. But now I'm overseeing the whole services and support team for our on-premise side of our business. And I've got quite a few consultants, a few technical developers, and a lot of really talented people working for me that makes it all come together. I'd love to say it's because of me, but it's not. I got a lot of smart people working for me, which is great. And I guess I've got two fun pieces of trivia about me. One is I don't sing in a cover band. So this is very interesting.
You could if you wanted to.
Yes, if I wanted to, I really could. And yes, Aaron's band is great. And I am a twin. A lot of people don't know I have a twin brother. But I'm a fraternal twin. So if you walked in right now, you would not recognize my twin brother. You would think he was Aaron's brother probably. But we're very different in the way we look and a lot of times the way that we act.
What is a value? So I think it's important that we define value so you guys know what we're talking about, because that term could mean different things for different people. So I'm going to use the definition of value from a book that our women's development team actually just read at RF Smart, and we did a book study on the book Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. And so according to Dare to Lead, a value is a way of being or believing that we hold most important, which I think is so true for RF Smart, what value means to us there. And so living into our values means that we do more than just profess our values. We practice them, we walk the walk, and we talk the talk, and we're clear about what we believe and hold important, and then we take care that our intentions, words, thoughts, and behaviors align with those beliefs. And so, Aaron, I'm going to kick it over to you because you can talk a little bit about how the values came to be. And I think that this story is relatable because just up until just a few years ago, we really did not have company values that were written down. So some of our customers may be in the same boat and might want to know, what's the origin? Where did this come from?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. So I love talking about our values, and so I'm excited to dig in on this. So that is true. Up until probably 8 years ago, we were a valueless company. I'm just kidding about that. Actually, we had values, but you're right. We had never written them down. So when I joined the company 12 years ago, every business card that was printed, if you flipped it over, it did have some value statements on there. There were 3 statements. And so our company was founded back in 1982 by Jorge Morales, and he was very clear that we had values. They were, customers first, focus on your team members and on your employee experience, and profits will take care of themselves. And so that was very clear to me when I joined the company. But that was it. We did not have a mission statement. We did not have our current values. And so those statements kind of guided us, but we didn't really talk about them that much. They were just kind of there, and you knew it was important. About 8 years ago, and believe it or not, this happened in a minivan on I-75
Yep.
heading up to...
Were you in the minivan, Kyle?
I heard the story. I was in a plane over the minivan headed to Jacksonville, so it's
gotcha,
a long
okay.
story.
Yeah, he wishes he was in there, but no. So we were on I-75. There's, I think, 6 of us in a minivan heading up to a conference, and we were just talking about the business, and we were talking about some things that several of us had been kind of pondering. Should we have a mission statement? Why does the company exist? What are we doing? What's the long-term play? I mean, just a lot of kind of existential type business questions. And we started saying, we should have a mission statement. We should have something that creates some focus, that allows us to be clear about who we are, what we're doing. And we started playing around with different things. And my experience prior to joining RF Smart was the companies that I had worked for had really, really, really lovely mission statements that I could never remember, but they looked great on a wall. They were a little dusty, probably on top of the frame. And I had no idea. I couldn't tell you what any one of them is for any company I've ever worked for, but they were really nice. They were really nice. I'm sure somebody worked hard on them. We were dedicated to not doing that. And so we said, what if it was a 1-sentence, easy to remember mission? And so we ended up saying, we exist to transform our customers and change lives. So I'm excited to say that mission has not changed since that time. And I'm pretty confident. I don't know, what do you think, Kyle? I think every one of our employees would say they could say it verbatim, right? Everybody knows that mission. We talk about it quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like if you walk down the hall at RF Smart and just were like, what's the mission? They would, somebody would be able to tell you.
That's
because
right.
it's up there too. It's on the wall. We know it.
Yeah, we take it seriously. Even as we're talking about our corporate goals today in a meeting today, it was about how are we transforming customers? How are we changing lives? So those things. So that's the mission, but that's different than the values, which is really what we're here to talk about. But the values are derived directly from the mission. And so what came next was this effort of, okay, that's great. That's fine. That's our mission. But how do we govern kind of how we behave? Or as you said earlier, what do we believe? How do we want to be? How do we want to behave around each other? And so we got the leadership team together at that time. Actually, we went off site and kind of got away from everything. We spent like several hours, like it was like an afternoon, I think, talking about what's the company we want to be. Let's think future. Let's think now. Who are we? What do we want to be? We started brainstorming. We came up with like tons, like dozens of great ideas. And so we started to then kind of shorten the list and winnow it down. And we ended up with 8 value statements at the time. And that was kind of the genesis. And so, again, that was about 8 years ago. And since that time, we've made some adjustments, but we came up with these 8 statements. We launched them to the company. They were very well received. And so that was kind of the history.
So, okay, so you said that you all went off site, you kind of looked and said, what are common themes? How did you decide, okay, these are the ones?
Yeah. So if kind of like a brainstorming exercise, we had all these concepts, and then we broke into smaller groups, and we started to say, well, which ones seem to connect with you? Some of them were very similar, just different words for the same type of thought. If you think about, customer-focused statements, are we talking about customer success or customer experience or, customer satisfaction? So some of them were grouped that way. Others seemed more important to maybe just a smaller portion of the leaders that were there. So we were really looking for the statements and the value statements that seemed to connect with almost everybody in the room, that really felt like things that would guide us to become the company that we wanted to be. And once we kind of took it at that look, it really actually wasn't that hard. It was pretty easy to get down to a short list that seemed really compelling.
So I think now you've got to tell us, what are the values?
Well, so one more piece. So that was 8. Let me tell you. So we have 5 values right now. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I think 4 years ago, we did a refresh. And so the reason we did a refresh is because to be honest, most people couldn't remember all 8 values. I think I was the only person in the company that could, I'd say, like, what are the values? And most people or teams could come up with 6 or 7. Nobody come up with 8. And I said, I think it's too long a list. So what we did, we didn't say, well, these, let's pick 3 that, aren't important to us anymore. We really tried to refresh the values and kind of combine them. And so we ended up with 5 value statements, and I'm happy to say most people can remember 5. And so most of the times when I challenge people or ask people to tell me our values or to talk about our values, they seem a little bit more memorable. So
should we try now? Should Kyle and I try to do all 5 of them?
I think so. So, I mean, what do you say,
So
Kyle?
there is a number 1 value, which is
crazy for our customers.
That's right.
Easy to do business with.
That's right.
We fire bullets before cannonballs.
That's 3.
We have your back.
We have your
Number
back.
4, we have your back.
Ever expanding impact.
And see, like that, you just proved it out.
Nice.
There's no papers on the table
No,
that say
yeah,
that. This
but that
does not
was-
say that.
That was right off the top of our heads.
right.
Go
Nice
us.
job.
That was
See?
good.
Well done. So crazy for our customer, easy to do business with. We have your back. We fire bullets before cannonballs, and ever expanding impact.
And so I want to talk a little bit about that first bullet, being crazy for our customers. What does that mean to you guys? What does it mean to be crazy for our customers?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me point out. So it's our first value for a reason. So we are deliberate in that. That is our top value, and that's in some ways an homage to when you flipped over that business card. Our first value listed there was customers. So we have that historical context, and it's a message to ourselves that we want to take care of customers as our top priority. So what we say when we say crazy for our customers, the phrase that we use to kind of challenge or explain what that means is, what are we doing to delight and surprise our customers? So I think almost every company has a value around customer satisfaction, or customer delight has been a term that's been popular lately. We like to throw in the word surprise. And so when I explain that to people, I always want to be clear, it's surprise in a good way, because, you could surprise a customer in a way that's maybe not so good. That's not what we're going for. So we want to delight and surprise our customers. And so I'm going to let Kyle give some great stories around that. One other thing I do want to mention, though, is the idea of being crazy seems to connect with people. I mentioned earlier that I am in a band, and we do perform crazy train, and therefore when we came up with the training program for our newer hires, we call it crazy training. And so just another fun fact there.
It all ties together.
It does. It all comes together. Yeah. So we do train. We have a specific class for every one of our new team members where we talk about what does it look like to be crazy for our customers and what are examples and how do we want you to behave and so forth. So we take this really seriously. And we celebrate stories when we do see our team members doing things that are crazy.
And so I think that's a really good segue into telling some crazy stories about
Let's get crazy.
Some ways that we've been crazy for our customers. And for those of you who are listening, maybe this resonates with you. Maybe the RF Smart team, you had a similar experience. And maybe you're thinking, okay, well, what are things that we could do to be crazy for our customers, right? At the end of the day, it's always about our customers, right? For RF Smart, it is. For our customers, it's about their customers. And so, Kyle, you've done a lot of implementations. And so I was wondering if you've got some stories to share about delighting and surprising our customers.
I definitely have some stories. There's no doubt about that. The good news is it's not hard to find these stories. They're all over the place. Sometimes we kid ourselves like, man, it just seems like we give out a tons of awards to our own employees and internal things for just stuff that is not typically normal at other organizations. This is not my first place I've worked, and I've been at other companies and that gave out awards, but they were definitely different than the ones that we don't have to look hard to give out the awards to team members in our consulting groups, but it's across the board, whether it's our products teams, our services teams, and our support teams. They're all doing unique things that are different than what you typically see in other organizations. One of the examples that comes to my mind, just as I think about it, is, we have an unusual world we're all living in right now, and we got COVID going on. We have a customer that's been a customer of ours for 5-6 years, and they actually ship the science goods that students need to the schools so they can do science projects within the school. So for as long as this company's been around, this is their core business, and they've shipped them directly to the schools. And that seems perfectly normal. Well, now a lot of children and students aren't in the schools, so they've had to come up with a different strategy. Well, they reached out to our employees and to our managers and such, and got one of our experts on a call and talked about it for quite a few hours, and got on a couple other different calls, but helped solve this challenge that for their business was critical. In these times, they can't function. They could not operate without trying to understand how to solve this problem. So fortunately, we have a consultant on our team that's very experienced in this area, and spent a lot of time with them. And fortunately, they've solved this problem. So they're able to ship goods directly to students as well as some to the schools, because there's some hybrid models going on. There's all kinds of different scenarios that none of us would have thought would have been going on 12 months ago. And here we are. So for them, it was a critical situation that obviously we were fortunate enough to help them solve. That's not the first story I've heard, especially with COVID and the pandemic, where our customers have had to pivot really quickly and say, okay, well, actually, we're going to manufacture PPE, or we're going to add something to our inventory because we need to sell something else. How can we help? And I think one of the things that is part of that being crazy for our customers and that really kind of elevates the RF Smart team is just that we can be those trusted supply chain advisors. And when our customers have an issue, they're like, who can we go to? RF Smart. And so really establishing ourselves as, we've got your back. We know how we can help you. I think is just really kind of world changing sometimes. Sure. And then a lot of the people that are on our teams, consulting and support, we hear often from customers and folks out there that say, such and such person knew more about our ERP than others, and we were shocked to know that they knew, not just something about RF Smart. They were well-versed and well-rounded and knew everything about the warehouse as well as how our ERP works. So that's pretty powerful out there, because we bring a lot of different talents in different areas. And if we don't have that one individual that's working on your project today, I'm sure there's somebody in the organization that can help solve one of the problems that you might have. So we do a lot of that stuff by using multiple resources across different areas to help solve stuff. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have the talent to be able to pull that off. But you're right.
I think that gets to the surprise piece, right? So customers are expecting us to know our product, right? That's the delight side. But when we show up and we know our product as well as their product, as well as how to challenge their business processes or come up with ways to pivot on a dime like you talked about, that's where the surprise piece comes on. That's what's crazy.
Well, and I think too, I think you're spot on with it being a delight or a surprise, but just the idea that we have their back in this. And so I kind of want to ask you, Aaron, because I know that you talk to a lot of customers and you talk to them on go live calls, and as they're doing those go lives, those implementations can be really, there's a lot going on. Kyle, there's a lot going on in those implementations, and we're able to delight and surprise them. Is there anything that you've heard on those calls that you want to share?
Yeah, so first of all, just to explain what we do, because even that process, we've had customers tell us surprises them in a positive way. So we have 6 executives that run the RF Smart business, and as our customers go live, we essentially rotate through that group to call the customer usually about 3 to 6 months after they've gone live. So the last thing we want to do is call them like the day after, because there's a little bit going on. So we wait for the stabilization to occur, and then we call them. And so every week or two, I'm on the phone with the customer asking them great questions like, hey, how was your experience? What do you think of our product? What do you think of our people? What's your overall experience with us as RF Smart? And so I hear consistent themes. I hear lots of things about, wow, as Kyle said earlier, the quality of your people. It's so often about the people that they're interacting with. They understood our business. They were able to push back. So lots of positive things. We hear a lot of really great things about our product as well. It's so easy to use. I was just talking to a customer earlier this week. I said, what do you think of our product? And she said, I love the product. We didn't even have to train our users. We just handed it to them, and they figured it out. And so, how intuitive that type of product is. And she said, that saved us a ton of time. I'm not worried about when we hire new people. She goes, to be honest, I was a little surprised. I was expecting it was going to be more complex. And anytime I hear somebody say I was a little surprised, I, give a little cheer. So, so that's, and then I would say more than half the time I'm finishing those executive calls, the person says, This is. I don't get calls like this from other partners. It's kind of surprising, but I really enjoyed it, and I feel like you care, like you take it seriously. Like I feel like you're actually going to do something with the feedback. So to me, that's another example of us, delighting and surprising them.
I think there's a couple of takeaways, right, for our customers. The first is that you can delight, surprise, be crazy for your customers just by having team members who are established and are getting the training that they need in order to serve your customers at the highest level. And then also taking the time to get feedback and then act on it, I think is another great way that those of you listening, can be crazy for your customers as well. Kyle, I know you've got a lot of stories. You've got to tell us some more about delighting and surprising some customers.
Yeah, as you guys are talking, my mind just keeps thinking of all these other ones, and I can't tell all the stories. You just don't have enough time.
Tell us
today.
Tell us 50.
No, I probably could. Don't tempt me. But sitting here listening to some of those things, I'd love to tell you that consulting in our business is a 9-to-5 job, but for our consultants, it's just not. And a lot of them that definitely have been in the business or have come into the business learn that quickly that we have a lot of different situations that pop up and things like that to happen. And it's interesting. Traveling is very complex right now and challenging, and it's not for everybody. And we had one of our larger customers in the Midwest go live. The time to go live, of course, was sometime, I think it was April. And the team, we had to ask, so, okay, here's one of those key moments. Are you guys willing to travel? I mean, because it sounds like we're going to have to travel and go on site. And then when I asked, I expected to get, no, I can't. There's no way I can travel. And everybody involved in the project without hesitation said, you know what? I need to be there. The customer needs me, and I get it. We'll figure it out, and we'll be fine. And they booked their tickets, and we watched things closely to monitor it for them. But at the end of the day, to have a team that's willing to just do those types of things, it goes back to they surprised me, and they didn't put the customer under a situation that created stress for them because they had a bunch of other things going on to get ready for the go live. And it was critical to have, definitely 3 or 4 of the folks that were involved there in person, because if they wouldn't have had them there, although Zoom and we're learning how to do those things better, it still would not have been ideal to see it in person. And then, it's quite a large project, and then just the dedication the team has given. After hours, they're open from 10 till early in the morning because they're shipping out goods and all these, crazy things we know are going on out there. And, the team has just done miraculous work for that. And that's not something although that's crazy, and that's crazy for our customers, I'd love to tell you that's the only time we've ever done that, but I could name numerous projects where team members have done crazy stuff like that our customers, I think, a lot of times are shocked.
Well, and it's the relationships too, especially on your team. I talk to a lot of customers, and one of the things that I think is always interesting is that they can name their account executive, they can name their business analyst, they know who they're working with, right? And so I think for those of you listening, a takeaway here is, if you're manufacturing or distributing, you probably don't know every single customer, right? That's buying your product, but there are moments where you can really step up and create those relationships, and that's how you become crazy for your customers, and forming those relationships, and taking the time to step up and be there in a moment when your customer needs you, I think is really vital and important.
No, it's key to a lot of our relationships with our customers and our partners, but the trust factor with a lot of it is really at the heart of it, because once we get engaged and you get that deep into some of these very large, complex projects, no matter what, trust becomes very important about some of these big decisions that are being made. And it's just to see that kind of happen naturally is really awesome. And it's rare that I'd love to tell you all of our projects are perfect and we never have any issues, and we don't have any areas where we got to fix something. The beauty is how we recover from those things, and it happens quickly with our teams. And we're very fortunate to have those folks.
Yeah, I want to comment on what you just said there, because I think it's important. Being crazy for our customers does not mean not making mistakes, right? And so I think we're very realistic, and we own mistakes that we make. And I like what you said there, Kyle. It's about recovering. And so when we work with customers, Kyle's never been involved in a project. I've never been involved with a project that didn't have issues. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have issues. It's not a matter of trying to avoid it. The question is, how do we work through those issues? And that's where we see the partnership, going back to what you said, Sarah, with the relationship. When we have that relationship and there's a trusted relationship, we work through those issues. And that's, I think, a big surprise as well at the end, to see those relationships coming together. We work through the issues and we have a big success. And
I mean, these are really great examples of being crazy for our customers. These are really great stories about times that we've been able to go above and beyond. And I want to talk about a couple of things here before we wrap up. The first one is, how does this benefit our customers, right? They're hearing the stories of ways that we're able to help our, other customers, or maybe they've experienced that. But when we do crazy things to help them succeed, how does that affect our customers?
Well, one thing it definitely does, it stabilizes just their entire business. I mean, it's a big decision. So when they even make the decision to take our Smart along with them, it's critical that they know that we have the consultants that can handle it, that are dedicated, that are crazy for them, that are going to do just about anything to be able to make sure their implementation goes well. But the values and the things that Aaron talked about earlier, in my mind, it all ties together because of those. That's why we are that way, because we all want to make sure that we have not only each other's back, but also our customers' back. And that, when you pick up the phone or you're in a difficult situation, that we want to be easy to do business with. And that sounds easy, but it's not. It's really hard when things are tense and stress in a project. And I think for the most part, all of our customers know that at the heart and core of it all, that's really what our Smart's about, is that we're going to, like Aaron said, there's going to be some challenges along the way. There's going to be some hiccups and things. And it's how you deal with those things that really show the true colors of people and companies. And I think at our Smart, that makes us unique.
Yeah, I agree. I think about my experience. I want to work with with companies who I can tell the people enjoy working there, and that they have a cool culture. Like, I'm drawn to that. And so I think companies are the same way. So I think there's a value for our customers to work with us, then they know that We're a missional, we're a value-driven company. Hopefully they see that delight and so they are surprised and they can see the value there as well. But yeah, I think it's a consistency thing. We are serious about all of our team members behaving this way. So it's not like, oh, well, these team members are crazy for their customers. Maybe the next ones will be, hopefully it's a very consistent experience. One other thing that just popped into my mind of an actionable thing for customers listening today is think about crazy for your customers. So here's my suggestion. Go find 5 or 6 people who interact directly with your customers today. So whatever that looks like for your business model, get them in a room and ask them the question that says, if money were no object and you could do something in your normal day-to-day job that would delight and surprise the customers that you work with and just like they would be wild fans, let's just come up with some ideas and just get them brainstorming. I bet when you what I've learned for me, I don't come up with great ideas. It's the people that are interacting with customers. Get them in a room. I bet you'll come up with a dozen ideas that you could take action on where you could immediately start changing that perception of the customers that you are delighting and surprising them.
And I think that is a perfect action item for those who are listening. And if you're listening today and you want to hear more about RF Smart's values, if you want to take a closer look about what that looks like, I'm going to leave a link for you so you can look at it on our website and have just kind of direct access there. If you're looking for next steps in ideas of how you can create these values, I'm also going to leave a resource from HubSpot, which is a company that our marketing team partners with. And that can help you in determining what some of those values might be. As always, make sure that you are subscribed so that you can be up to date on new episodes being released. And if you have questions, you can always visit our website. You can email us at info@rfsmart.com. Aaron and Kyle, thank you so much for being here today. I hope so much that our customers can take away and walk away with something that delights and surprises their customers and their teams as well.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks,
Glad
Sarah.
to be here.
Thanks, guys.